Hello, this is Paper Cuts Included coming to you live from the Ninja Turtle sleeping blanket, and that's how you know it's legit. Today is going to be another pickup video. Can you believe that? Feels like everything I do here is a pickup video. Although, if you haven't seen it yet, I have a video with our very own co-host, Dylan Dog, out right now by the time this video gets released. We'll talk about some books, talk about some references. We also have another channel called Tips and Tricks, which is, right now it's just me talking about some tips and tricks I use. Pretty soon I hope my co-host puts a video out there, or our third mystery co-host, which you haven't seen yet, but maybe I might release when I mean prototype, I mean prototype, where it was just me and that co-host figuring out how to do this. But today, it's a pickup, like I said. Me and that mysterious co-host went out and went comic book hunting. We went to a comic book store, and then we went to a game exchange. The comic book store found some really cool stuff. You won't see that today, but game exchange, I was able to find, I believe it was like 20 bucks for $1 each. And so we'll talk about that. I bought so much stuff, I'm going to split it into 4 different videos. That's right, 4 different. There's going to be a video each day this week. So stay in tune, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what's your favorite one out of the 5. Or if you don't like any of them, let me know. Let me know what I can do better. I'm learning all about all this YouTube stuff. So yeah, let me know. But before I do that, I'm going to show off some art I'm working on. This is for a zine that I am working on with our very own co-host. I believe this will be in our Smugglers Did one. If you can guess what comic I'm taking or making a little story for, comment down below. You know, give you a couple more seconds. It's a watercolor painting. I've always wanted to mess with watercolors more after Mobius, so here's my little attempt. So we'll see how that goes. But let's get right into it. So I have no idea what this book is. It's called Die Cut. It's a Marvel Comics with something called Pumpin' Iron right below it. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot. I think it's from Marvel UK, which that's pretty cool to see. So yeah, the only reason I bought it, like I would not have bought this and for any other reason but this, is I want to do a video on gimmick covers, kind of like that one ferret book I showed in an earlier video where it has this unique cut around it, whereas this one has this die cut. This was a game exchange, fine, for $1. Would not pay anything more than $1 for it, but like I said, hopefully in about a year's time I'll have enough of these little covers so I can do a variant cover or a gimmick cover video. I'm up to 2 now. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite little gimmick cover. Mine might be the Malibu Protectors, where it has the bullet hole in it, which I still need to pick up. I see it for $1 all the time, but usually I pass up on it because I find a lot of other books I'd rather get. So let's get that out of the way. Book 2, Nexus, issue 57. I don't know anything about Nexus, but my co-host was telling me about it. He says he loves it. Or I don't know if he said he loves, he said he liked it. So now I'm gonna, if I find it for cheap enough, pick it up. See what I can like about it. Always reminds me of Alan Moore's Miracle Man. But yeah, we'll flip it open, take a look at it. One of my rules of thumbs though is if it's a first publishing book, pick it up. Because they're a pretty good little company. Got some good books. Got Lone Wolf and Cub, my favorite probably of all the first publishing books. But no, I heard this is a pretty good sci-fi book. When did it come out? Is it 89? So good sci-fi in 89. That makes sense. You know, you're post-Star Wars. You're kind of in that little lull of sci-fi stuff. Good sci-fi stuff. So I could see where this would be popular. This is volume 2, and it ran for 100 issues, which kudos for a book that I don't really know anything about making it 100 issues. Especially if they made it, this is 57, and they made it to 100, so that's another 4 years. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they made it till 93, or I shouldn't say made it, they might have just ended the book in 93, but good on them for getting out before that speculator pop. But no, I think this is my 3rd issue of yeah, it is my 3rd issue. I have some random one with a really cool cover that I got from like a 25-cent bin, and then I have the Magnolia one. Let's see, Steve Rudd in 58. Gotta keep an eye out for that. Sounds like there's a lot of guest artists in these, which I really need to, keep an eye out for. I'm missing the Beach one, which I think is it's either the issue right after Magnola or the issue right before. So I gotta keep my eye out for that one. But I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if any of these panels really strike to me. I need to read it. But, yeah, that's Nexus right now. Not a whole lot for me to say. Maybe me and my co-host can talk about it more. But, I heard it's a good sci-fi book. It made it to 100, or they made 100 issues, and he stopped saying made it. And, at a time when there wasn't a lot of good sci-fi. So, got an issue of Nexus. I'm going to try to pick up more if I can find them. Like, when I find them, I mean $2 or less. I'm not going to go broke over Nexus. Hope the first issue isn't a ball buster. Another book I got, one I'm pretty interested in, called The Goon by Albatross Funny Books. I have read, I think I don't own. This is the first issue of Goon I've ever owned. But I've read the first issue of Goon. I remember liking it a lot. It gives me some really good Magnola vibes. It gives me some really good cartooning vibes, kind of like a Jeff Smith, Magnola kind of story. I need to read it. I would, I don't want to go on a limb and say study it for cartooning, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say study it for cartooning. I feel like there's a difference between books like this and Nexus. Like, this is your action comic, this is your cartoon book. And one's not better over the other. I personally kind of like cartooning books a little bit better to a point. But, Ninja Turtles is one of my favorite books. I feel like that's a mixture of the two, of some cartooning and some action. But two schools of thought, and you don't have to make your art look exactly like this to consider yourself a cartoonist. Don't try to curb someone's style. Find your own style as much as you can. You can be inspired by it. Like, I'm inspired by Miller, Darrow, and Magnola, but I try to put my own spin on it as much as I can. But I need to read this. I don't know if I'll read it just yet. I think it's self-contained, which is another good thing about cartooning books, is usually they're self-contained. So that means if you find, like I did, I found this issue. This story is probably a one and done. There's no sequel or cliffhanger. You just kind of got to read issue 1. It sets the rules of the game, sets who the main characters are, and then each episode's kind of your freak of the week. What are they dealing with this time? Which this time it looks like some evil fish person. But no, good cartooning book. I'll definitely check out more of The Goon. Oh, look at that Hellboy. I love Hellboy. He was probably one of the first ever comic books I was like, I want to draw comic books now. So, probs, to Uncle Magnola. Definitely, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing art to this day. But yeah, there's The Goon. There's another book I got. All these books I got for $1. I've been having a really good look at game exchanges, except my own. My own just doesn't get new books in ever. Like, the books that have probably been there have been there for like 6 months with no change, and it's just newer Marvel or newer DC. One of the more exciting books I got, but not exciting, I like it a whole lot, is Kick-Ass number 2, or I guess volume 2, issue 1. I didn't have this one. I love the Kick-Ass series. I almost have a complete run of the first volume. I'm missing, I think, number 4, and I can't ever run into it, and I don't want to buy it on eBay, because I have this weird rule where if I'm only missing one of them, I try to find it in person and not eBay it. That's why for like 2 years I've had almost a complete first volume of Usagi. I'm missing like 30 to 33, but I don't want to buy it online. I like that thrill of the hunt. But yeah, I have almost all of Kick-Ass 1. I think this makes the halfway mark of Kick-Ass 2. I don't think I have any of Kick-Ass 3, which is a shame. If you haven't read this, start with the first one, obviously. It's a great comic story. It's one of the first comics I ever read on my own. Like, I wasn't told to read it or that it was good. I guess I watched the movie or I tried to watch the movie, got halfway through it, hated it, and I was like, the comic has to be better. So I just, as soon as I, was the halfway mark, turned it off, and then was reading this, and it was amazing. I probably read all of it in about a week. It was crazy, but crazy good. It's a great little, almost, I'd still say it's an action comic. If you read Deadly Class, it kind of has similar art style / vibes. It's by John Romita Jr. So there's some pretty big name attached to it. I think he worked on all 3, and for a very, very long time, this was in my top 5 books. The whole series itself. It probably still is in my top 10. That'd be a good video to do one day. Just talk about my top 10 books or top 10 series of all time and compare it, or just show it with my co-host. But no, this is a great story. Great for, it's not an all ages book, but I'd say junior to senior in high school and up. It's it answers that question: what would happen if a normal guy wanted to be a hero? Not a superhero, but just a Batman of sorts. And it follows our main character doing that. And in each volume, it kind of gets a little bit more intense. So I think it's really good. A lot of people think it's really good. I feel like no one really talks about it anymore, though. Unfortunately, I think the movie kind of soured a lot of people's taste of it, or they've seen the movie and don't want to read the books. Like that horrible fan, the horrible Marvel fan, the fan who watched all the movies but don't know any of the books or the artist. Man, look at these pencils. John Romita Jr. I don't know if I've ever seen I don't think I've ever seen John Romita Jr. pencils. And this might, no, I can't say this is my first John Romita Jr. artwork. I think I only have John Romita Jr. artwork in the form of his kick-ass books, though. I don't buy that much Marvel. There's not a whole lot of Marvel stuff that I'm really interested in. Oh, you can see his process. Pencils, to inks, to shading, and then to color. That's really cool. You almost want to buy a couple so you can kind of rip these out, frame them, study them. Like I said in our that tips and tricks, take 1,000 hours to study to get a little bit better. Here's your 1,000 hours, kiddos. Studying some John Romita Jr. art. What's the back? But no, I don't buy that much Marvel books. There's not a whole lot of their titles I'm really interested in. I never really grew up with Marvel. I was a DC kid. I haven't really even seen that many of the Marvel movies, actually. So don't crucify me for that. And you might be thinking, it's not a Marvel book, it says Icon on it. This is like a Marvel little company. Marvel's the umbrella, has other companies, like had technically Marvel printed Akira, and it printed this. So I consider it a Marvel book, or I guess a Marvel publishing is probably a better word for it. But I recommend this. I think it's a great book. Off note, there's an electrical storm going on right now, so who knows if we lose power or not. Next book, I feel like every video we talk about all red, and that streak's going strong still with some comic book legal defense fund summer update 2018 with an all red cover of Madman and that Planet of the Apes famous scene where they see the Statue of Liberty. But no, I love buying. This isn't a all red comic. It is a kind of a comic. What is it? Comic book legal defense, talking about what they're doing and kind of a little bit of a fundraiser. And what this is, it's a comic book group, or I guess people, not group, coming together and making sure that comic freedoms, like freedom of expression, freedom of speech, are protected and don't get infringed upon by the media, by people. Like there's an article in here talking about how a graphic novel was assigned to a class in I think Illinois, and it got banned for, I don't remember what the reason was, but these people kind of came together and fought against it. Or stuff like, I'm sure when Mouse got banned in Tennessee for some what Tennessee called vulgar reasons. I'm sure they came. It was like the kids need to, I guess they don't need to read Mouse. They can read Mouse because Mouse is probably one of the greatest learning tools about the Holocaust. I won't get into that. Mouse will be its own video. But no, they have some pretty big heads on this team. Like on their board, advisory board, they have Peter Welch, Bob Wayne, Jose Villaruba, William Skanes, Mike Richardson, Louis Nemshaw, Frank Miller, Uncle Miller, Frenchie Lunig, Jim Lee, who I don't think he was still, or he's a big hit at DC and still is at this time. Chip Kidd, Matt Groening, is that Simpsons guy? Greg Goldstein, Susan Alston, and probably one of the biggest names, Neil Gaiman and Dennis Kitchen. You got some powerful names right there on your advisory board. Oh, and board of directors, one of them being Jeff Smith, who, if you don't know, made Bone, probably one of the most successful cartooning books of all time. You would be lying if you said you never saw a Bone book, if you're my age, because you saw those at every Scholastic book fair, and you probably looked through your friends because they looked interesting and cool. Probably the first graphic novel I don't know if I consider them graphic novels, one of the first comic books I ever read. But no, there's not a whole lot to flip through. Just some articles about what's happening, telling students to be empowered, you know. The Art of March, I think. Civil Rights Masterpiece. Yeah, and just I wonder if this was a whole convention. Since I got all these books today, I haven't time to look through all of them. So if I'm questioning a couple things, don't kill me over it. I did see that for this they were for the comic book legal defense fund at San Diego Comic-Con of that year, 2018. They were doing an auction, including Jeff Smith original artwork, a cast-only poster for the Winter Soldier by Paulo Rivera, and some original Walking Dead artwork. Looks like inks and pencils with looks like Rick, Negan, and Michonne on it. So who knows how much that's worth today. But no. Stuff like this is important as artists. Never feel like you have to be silenced for what you believe in. If it's positive, I would implore you, if it's positive, don't be doing anything stupid. But books like these help get people realizing that they don't, we won't go down silently in the night. Comic books have had, if you believe it or not, such a hard time staying alive in media. Like I said, stuff like Mouse getting banned in Tennessee. The Comics Code of Authority banning even the word vampire in comics. There's a lot of stuff that's happened to comics behind the scenes that you wouldn't believe. But comics is a powerful tool for people to learn. Comics, I didn't like reading a lot when I was a kid, so comics help with that. And I'm sure that's the same story for thousands of people. Comics is a way me and my best friend and co-host talk about comics from 2nd grade to now. So, if that's proof enough. But yeah, comics a hard business. If you want to get some more history of that, just talk about Jack Kirby and Steve Gerber on Destroyer Duck, which hopefully I get to do a video on that one day, because that'd be really interesting to talk about. So enough about that for now. And the last book in this video, and probably my first book of this artist, being Frank Quietly on his Superman. And Frank Quietly I believe he is a Scottish artist. He is super amazing, in my opinion, and probably most people's opinions. I compare his artwork to Jeff Darrow a lot, and I wouldn't say one's better than the other, but he's insane. I came to know him from his We 3 book, which is a phenomenal artwork book. It's also a good little short 3-issue series, I believe, by Vertigo. And this is his Superman. You might not know the name, but you've seen his artwork. He did what some people call some pretty bad / interesting X-Men artwork. Just look up Frank Quietly Cyclops, and you'll see what I mean. I actually like that design a lot. That might be one of my favorite Cyclops designs. I know, give me some hate for it, but I like it a whole lot. I don't know, it just reminds me of Cyberpunk-esque a lot. But we'll open it up and I'll show you how much I like Quietly. Little Watchmen ad on the back. Oh, and a Batman Arkham Asylum. Love that game. I only just beat it like a year ago. Because as a kid, I think I'd always get stuck on... I don't remember what it was. Oh, one of the last Scarecrow encounters. I'd always get stuck on it. I could never beat it. But no, let's look at some Quietly artwork. I have no idea what that... I've never heard of that movie. But no, his artwork is incredible. I want to see his pencils and see how that looks. I think in our first ever video, I asked the question what the top 5 most printed DC trade paperbacks were. I still don't know. I can't really find a good solid, but here's probably some contenders. I'm sure Kingdom Come might be in the top 5, maybe. That or Arkham Asylum, or is it Serious House on a Serious Earth is the other title. Maybe. Oh, there's a tree limb that hit. The wind's acting up. And I'm sure maybe now Superman Red Son's one of the top 5. Because I heard it's really good. I actually don't really... I think this is my first ever Superman book, too. I just never bought Superman. I've never liked his gimmick. Oh, I'm the strongest hero ever, and let me fight someone stronger than me. But Frank Quietly, I'll buy anything that's Frank Quietly. You know, his artwork's just insane. Even though this is the same color scheme for the laboratory and We 3. I think that's my only complaint. Is his coloring kind of like Darrow? Isn't... Oh, we might get a big lightning strike here in a second. But their color scheme... Yep. Gotta let me finish? Okay. The color scheme isn't that good. Or, I shouldn't say isn't that good. I don't... feel like their coloring's not that good. So, I should stop saying that. But I guess, you know, the truth. Sometimes the colors just get washed, in my opinion, in scenes like this, where it's just that red. And sometimes I feel like that happens with Jeff Darrow's work. I was reading Who'll Stop the Rain the other day, and it's rough sometimes. And Crow to Be Kin. I don't know. The colors, I feel like, just get muddied. And so I prefer Darrow pencils, and I probably prefer Quietly pencils too. But now I know there's a Grant Morrison, Frank Quietly, Batman, and Robin. Gotta get that now. I wonder if that's the Damien. But no, it's for, you know, I'm glad I have this in my collection now. My first ever Quietly artwork. Quietly's listening to it. You're a great artist. I can't understand you crap though sometimes. I always gotta watch them with subtitles. But you do some amazing work. And I need to actually get I wonder if that's Scout from We 3. Or was it? No, I think his name's Bandit, wasn't it? The dog. His Bandit. Nicolas Cage and Knowing. Is that the one where everyone goes missing? Or like a lot of, like the rapture happens? I don't know. But no. So yeah. That's part 1 of my pickups. I got some... They're all going to be a themed episode. This one's theme was just random one-off books. You know, the others are kind of have a series attached, or books I can talk about for a lot longer than this. But some really good hauls. Most of this will probably go in my miscellaneous box. But let me know which of these books is your favorite. Let me know what books you want me to talk more about. Let me know what books you don't want me to talk about. Like, do you not want a gimmick cover? Do you actually hate Kick-Ass? Are you tired of me talking about All Red? Which I won't listen to, because All Red's, I think you call it the GOAT. I've really come to like All Red. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. This is a comic book YouTube channel where me and my co-host talk about artwork, talk about comic art, talk about tips and tricks. We're all three working artists in the field, so we'll give our 2 cents in on some of the matters. But anyway, I guess I'll send you on some marching orders, and I'm out of here. Make more art.